hurricanes and global warming. Is there a connection?
What impression do you get when you watch this report lead-in from NBC?
As new storms brew in the Atlantic tonight, scientists studying the Earth's climate say we are experiencing stronger hurricanes in this century, a trend that's likely to continue.
The impression NBC gives is that the storms being experienced at the time, back in 2005, were indeed linked to climate change, and they'll get worse. Unfortunately, the scientific paper the news report is based on doesn't exactly say that. And other papers that NBC doesn't mention most emphatically don't say that. So let's look at what the peer-reviewed literature says, because science is advanced through research, and research is written up in respected peer-reviewed journals, not the New York Times or NBC News. Tropical cyclones are called hurricanes in the North Atlantic and typhoons in most of the West Pacific. They get their energy from the warmth of the oceans, so as the oceans get warmer, the number of tropical cyclones increases. A 2008 study suggests that just a half-degree rise in North Atlantic sea surface temperatures would increase the number of hurricanes by around 40%. In his movie An Inconvenient Truth, Al Gore implicated global warming, but it's not that simple. Climatologists say it's likely the increase in hurricanes we saw between 1995 and 2005 is mainly due to a 60 to 80-year natural cycle, not global warming. By the way, this cycle, called the Atlantic Multidecadal Oscillation, may also have contributed to the recent fall in the extent of summer sea ice, but I'll cover that in another video. Secondly, even though global warming will raise sea surface temperatures, that isn't the only factor that influences the formation of hurricanes. Another is the difference in temperature between the sea surface and the upper troposphere. And as global warming continues to warm the upper troposphere, this temperature difference is likely to decrease over the next century. Global warming also increases something called wind shear in the upper troposphere. That's the steepness of change as you cross wind speed contours. And greater wind shear has a habit of chopping off the tops of hurricanes before they get a chance to form. So if the effect of climate change is to decrease temperature differences and increase wind shear, doesn't that mean that increased global warming would lead to fewer hurricanes, not more? Well, yes. That was first postulated in a 1998 paper published in the Bulletin of the American Meteorological Society. The researchers tentatively concluded that a doubling of carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere would probably not lead to more tropical cyclones on a global scale. The very modest available evidence points to an expectation of little or no change in global frequency. Over the next 10 years, that modest evidence was added to substantially. In 2010, a definitive review of all the research and the data was undertaken by an expert panel and published in Nature Geoscience. Their report projected an 18% decline in the number of tropical cyclones by the end of the century and a 30% decline in the number reaching land. But there's a twist in the tale. While normal hurricanes would fail to form because of contrary atmospheric conditions, these wouldn't be able to stop the strongest hurricanes from forming, and because sea surface temperatures will be higher in future, these strong hurricanes will be exceptionally strong. So the same research papers conclude that while overall the number of hurricanes will decline, those that do occur will be especially strong. The Nature Geoscience paper estimated that the wind speed of hurricanes will probably increase 2 to 11% by the end of the century. That may not sound like much, but a study by Emmanuel concluded that a 10% increase in wind speed translates to roughly a 60% increase in damage. The next question facing researchers is, has this process already begun? Are we already seeing stronger hurricanes because of climate change? A 2005 study published in Science found a large increase in the number and proportion of Category 4 and 5 tropical cyclones worldwide since 1970. That same year, a paper published in Nature reached the same conclusion. A 2006 study analyzed the cause of sea surface temperatures and found strong evidence that global warming is a factor.